pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know, when I was growing up, I thought about foreign aid as helping people in foreign countries who needed food or shelter, who were struggling because their country was having a civil war and they'd been cut off from having clean water, enough food for their families, some place for shelter. I think that's what most Americans think foreign aid is, that we want to help people around the world because the United States is blessed. God has given us more than He's given most nations, and that we need to respond in ways that are helpful to our fellow man.
Welcome back to Humble Not Timid. And we're going to go ahead and get another show. I got this one a little bit late in the week for y'all, but we're going to go ahead and get this one started for you. And just like you heard Miss Senator Loomis speaking, America has been blessed, and there's nothing wrong with us helping other countries. But then again, there's nothing wrong with taking care of your own house first. So we're going to jump into this episode, and I do thank y'all, and once again, all those who do support and show your support, you know, with your time, your effort, your comments. I appreciate all of it. And like I said, you know, there's nothing wrong with us helping, but at the same time, too, though, there's a difference between us helping and somebody taking advantage of us. So there's a lot of people out there with their opinions and speaking out on what Trump's doing and what Elon's doing, going through, and right now they're going through the books. We've only been like 2 weeks into this presidency already, and a lot of things that they're uncovering, people ain't liking, and I think a lot of people are getting a little mad because it seems like the beehive's been a little disturbed, and now a lot of things are coming out to light. So let's go ahead and get back and get into this episode and see exactly what's going down here. Humble Not Timid, another voice, another choice.
Getting mad at me, playing, but they ain't taking my place. And I'm a misbreed, homie, so they hate my race. Or maybe I'm just ugly, so they hate my face. Either way it go, homie, take the hating away. Now I'm suited in my armor, and I'm just ready to play. So now put me in coach, cause I'm just ready to get. See, I told y'all I ain't going nowhere. I told y'all I'm right here, right here. I told
to our fellow man. But today, I hear my colleagues blaming a guy named Elon Musk for doing away with foreign aid. If is to blame, it's us. It's the Congress of the United States for taking our eye off the mission of our country to provide aid to those around the world who need it. Millions of taxpayer dollars are being wasted on left-wing pet projects that don't benefit us here at home, that actively work against our interests and do not help those in need around the world. I believe that American taxpayer dollars should be spent making lives better for Americans and better for those around the world who have far less than we have. You know, I've been talking.
No matter what you think, you got to agree to a point that, you know what, our country has a lot of problems, but at the same time too, though, how are we going to help? How can you help somebody else with their house if you can't keep your own house straight? You know, I mean, even all those out there that claim to be Christians and stuff, you understand in the Bible it does state that you're supposed to keep your own house straight. You know what I'm saying? You want to be bishops and pastors and all that and everything. You got to keep your own house straight. It's just one of the basic rules of life. So the fact that they're going through now and they want to blame Elon and they want to say, oh, President Elon. But in all honesty, they don't realize the President Trump actually hired Elon and told him, hey, you know what? Boom, boom, boom. This is what we need to do. And he's going through and he's doing it. Now, I don't disagree. You know, it is our fault. It's our fault because you know what? We let our finances get away from us and we got to spending too much. So why are they mad? I think that some of the people that are really mad are mad because they're not going to get their funding anymore. And then at the same time, too, though, some of them are probably stealing money. You know, allegedly, we ain't going to talk about who's doing what because you want to know whose hands is all in the cookie jar. But somebody taking some money that ain't supposed to be taken out there. But go ahead. We're going to look at and see exactly what some of this money being spent on, though.
Today, our national debt is $36 trillion. That's absolutely inconceivable. It's inconceivable to the American people. It's certainly inconceivable to the people in my state. They want answers. They want to know, where's all this money going? That's why they elected Donald Trump. They didn't like seeing people come into our country illegally. They didn't like seeing inflation make their lives harder, make their family pay $1,000 to $1,500 more per month with no change in their lifestyle. Inflation is eating away at the lives of American people. They're working harder than ever, and their dollars going less far. Had some of these, even my colleagues on the left had no idea about. This is wildly out of keeping with stated American interests for how we will spend taxpayer dollars abroad. Here are some of the ways the last administration have wasted your money. More than $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. And just whose disinformation is it? I think that's probably in the eye of the beholder. $20 million for a new Sesame Street show in Iraq. $25 million for Deloitte to promote green transportation in the country of Georgia. Nearly $8 million to teach Sri Lankan journalists how to avoid, quote, binary gendered language. Binary gendered language in Sri Lanka? You've got to be kidding me. $5 million to EcoHealth Alliance, one of the key NGOs, non-government organizations, funding bat virus research at the Wuhan lab. $20 million for a group related, by the way, to a key player in the Russiagate impeachment hoax. $1.5 million to rebuild the Cuban media ecosystem. $1.5 million on DEI programs in Serbia. Diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in Serbia. Mr. President, I could probably go on for another hour. President.
Now, I mean, I ain't no super mathematician or anything like that, but I mean, you add that up, and what are we looking at? We're looking at almost about 92.5 million, just right there in what she is stating right there. Okay, $92.5 million that didn't go nowhere to any kind of America, and didn't go to any kind of, it didn't go to no food, it didn't go to no shelters, it didn't go to no anything like that. Now, so this is the thing. So you had to spend $20 million on a cartoon Sesame Street. Like who does that? Who does that? You know, and where you spend $20 million to make a cartoon. And then was the one that really stuck out to me the most was the $5 million for the bat virus in Wuhan. Now, I might be wrong, and I ain't no rocket scientist or nothing like that, but I believe that's part of that COVID stuff they had going on. So 5 million of our own dollars paid for people that we know and we love to die, because a lot of Americans died throughout COVID. So you're gonna sit here and tell me that, you know what, that we paid $5 million so they could do part of the research, and we ended up losing family members over here, right? But you know, they're all for America, and you know, they love America so much, you know, that they really got our backs and everything. And then the whole DEI thing. Come on, man. Like, seriously? We're going to sit here and we're going to play this crap about DEI over and over and over and over. And then you got these idiots out here that's in here making their shows and everything mad because DEI is getting taken out. DEI is getting taken out. And then they want to make it a racist thing. Oh, well, you know what? He's taking it out because he don't like black people and all this and all that. So, you know, we had that conversation on the last one, but at the same time, too, though, you're still an idiot. You know, I seen them when they were sitting there talking on The View, talking about the whole end zone thing and how they took out the let's stop racism and replaced it with the let's just love, or whatever, choose love. But at the same time, too, though, what are you going to do? You really going to stop racism with a, you know, an end zone quote? That's just is the dumbest stuff ever. But these people they're really getting on my nerves because they're mad at Elon because Elon's actually doing what he's supposed to be doing. They're getting audited. So now that they're going in, they're clearing up this money, and they're going to find out that, you know, this and that's going on. But see, the thing is, I really believe that it's a whole diabolical. It's worse than what we believe. It's worse than what we think, because the reality of the situation is there's people who are at play with agendas that they really don't. Like I said before, it's globalism. You got people who really don't want the borders of every country. They don't want the countries to be separate countries. And what they're doing is they're going to switch it, and they're trying to make it to where everything opens up and the whole world is just one piece. Now, Kennedy, he sits there and he says something that kind of threw me off, but I understand, because, you know, if you got to study who these people are. See, they want to get mad at Elon because Elon's the rich guy behind Trump. But at the same time, too, though, if you go look on the left side of it, you got other rich people over there too. And one of the big boys is playing on that side. He might not be out in the front like Elon, you know, because Elon's got his face out there a lot more now these days. But at the same time too, though, Mr. Soros, and he's played a heavy role in a way a lot of these things has gone. And he's done it through his organizations, the Open Society. And now his son, Alex, is actually taking over. And believe it or not, they actually had sightings of Alex inside the White House over the past, you know, few years or whatnot. But we're gonna go ahead. Let me show you a little bit of something of what Mr. Kennedy was speaking about.
Mr. President, last week, President Biden, I wish him well, gave his farewell address to America. He said a number of things, but one in particular got my attention. He warned America about, quote, his words, not mine, quote, a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of very few ultra-wealthy people. President Biden went on to say, and I quote again, today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead, end quote.
Now, you see him sitting there talking about how Biden made these statements, and I do remember because I sat there and watched it, you know, when Biden gave a whole little speech, and, you know, he was warning about an oligarchy, and then excuse me. So if for those who don't know, whatever, what an oligarchy is super rich elite people taking the power of the government, controlling it and everything, and then pretty much using the government to push their will upon the world, You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, though, is a lot of folks that watched it, they probably was thinking that, you know what, that it was going to be Trump that he was speaking about, you know. And honestly, I ain't gonna lie, when I watched it too, I thought the same thing. You know, I'm just sitting there thinking, man, you know, they're mad now because they're thinking that Trump and Elon, you know, is an oligarchy and that they're turning, you know, they're trying to take over the world and, you know, all that. But at the same time, too, though, listening to Kennedy speak, and then I go back and watch it again, you know, you have to sit there and you have to think about it. Well, maybe he was trying to, you know, and I ain't no fan of Biden or nothing like that, but you know, you get people they dance close enough with the devil, and then you know they sit there and they wonder. They try to reach back out and you know tell you, hey, be careful. You know, I played the game, and the game got me. You know, so you got to be careful about that. You know, like I ain't no pastor preacher, but you remember the story about when you know the one man was in hell, and you know he reached up and he told his kinfolk, hey, go tell him. You know, go tell him this real. You know, this real. Go tell him. You know, go tell them. It's too late for me. Go tell the rest of the family. But go ahead. Let's go ahead and move forward a little bit, just a little bit more.
President Biden was talking about. But I know one particular circumstance about which I'm going to speak that fits his warning. Again, I don't know if the circumstance I'm about to describe is what President Biden meant, but if the shoe fits, wear it, Cinderella. We cut to the chase. Mr. George Soros is an oligarch. He's one of the wealthiest people in the world. He's a friend of President Biden's. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, President Biden just gave him, I think, the highest civilian honor that a president can give to a civilian, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
On behalf of George Soros is Alex Soros. The Presidential Medal of Freedom is awarded to George Soros. Born into a Jewish family in Hungary, George Soros escaped Nazi occupation to build a life of freedom for himself and countless others around the world. Educated in England, he settled in America as he became an investor and philanthropist, supporting key pillars of open societies: rights and justice, equity and equality, freedom now and in the future. His inspiring generosity reminds us all of our capacity and our obligation to stand up to the abuse of power and to be guardians of democracy and all people yearning to be free.
Now, like Kennedy said there, you know, Biden had just gave him an award right before he left office or whatnot, and his son actually ended up accepting the award on his behalf. So, you know, and like I said, I'm a nobody, you know, little guy, you know, but these guys play the game on a way bigger scale. You know what I'm saying? Like they play the game on big boy scales. You know, like we sit there and we talk. And we say, oh, man, you know, they got money, you know. And then we talk about guys like Kanye and Jay-Z and all that. And them guys rich, too, and Diddy and all that. They rich, too. But at the same time, too, though, they not these guys rich. These guys rich is a whole nother level rich. Like, when you say power, these guys got power. You know, they want to talk about, you know, Diddy fighting his case and, you know, he ain't got power to do this and do that. No, these guys got power. I mean, they collapse economies. You know what I'm saying? They can either hold them up or change them. And Soros has a whole different outlook on life. You know what I'm saying? For those of y'all who don't know who he is, I'm going to give you a little quick recap video of, it's just a little short shutdown video. You know, it's going to shoot a little bit something at you and let you know a little bit something about him. It's something that Forbes had did. Okay? Give me 1 sec.
Billionaire hedge fund tycoon George Soros is best known in the UK as the man who broke the Bank of England by betting against the pound. In the US, he is known as a major Democratic political donor and one of the foremost philanthropists focusing on democracy, with lifetime giving that tops $16.8 billion. Born in Budapest, Hungary in 1930, Soros survived the country's Nazi occupation and emigrated to the United States, where he began his career in finance. In 2020, Soros gifted his birthplace over $1 million to help prepare for the coronavirus pandemic, as part of a $130 million commitment for COVID-19 aid worldwide. With his personal experiences influencing his philanthropy, Soros established open society foundations over 40 years ago to promote democracy and human rights around the globe. With an annual giving of $1.2 billion in 2020, the foundation's causes range from economic equality and justice reform to anti-discrimination. Amid the protests for racial equality last year, the foundation committed $220 million to support leaders in Black communities across the United States. In January, Soros pledged $1 billion to take on the spread of nationalism through a new university network for teaching and research. Claiming this was, quote, the most important project of his life, Soros hopes to build on the Open Society Foundation's work.
Excuse me. So now you see this man. I mean, he came up from rags to riches. He was born during the Holocaust, or he was a kid during the Holocaust, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And there's a lot more to his story. You know, he survived, and his family and his daddy and them changed their names to Soros. It was Schwartz. They changed it to Soros, so you know that they can get, you know, hide during the whole Nazi thing. And then he ends up growing up and gets in, you know, he goes on this journey, you know, and he wanted to be a philosopher or whatnot. And then he ends up developing his own philosophy, his own life or whatnot. And then he ends up, you know, getting into the funds, the hedge funds and things like that. You know, he goes to Wall Street, and it wasn't just Wall Street. It was other countries too that he got into the money. He became super, super rich. So he was like Elon before Elon was Elon. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is, though, is that, he has a different outlook on life. Like, okay, if you look on the websites, or you listen to him speak, or you listen to the open societies, which he funded, he put a bunch of money in there and created this open societies and put them all over different countries. You know what I'm saying? And on the surface, everything is beautiful and loving life and promoting, like they said, democracy. You know what I'm saying? Democracy. But like you also heard in there too, though, you know, his plan is to fight nationalism. So, you know, nationalism is, for, in basic simple terms, is, you know, I'm for my country. I'm a patriot of my country. Now, you know, I know a lot of Black folks want to believe that, you know what, that we don't belong to this country, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, the white man stole us or whatever. But at the same time, too, though, we're Americans. I say it over and over and over. We're Americans. You know, black, brown, white, purple, green, or blue, it don't matter to me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you're an American and you're here, you're American. You know, so as Americans, this is our country. And, you know, we might not, every country in the world, it does not matter what country it was formed in blood. Every country, that any place that was developed from Roman times to Egyptian times to whatever was formed one way or another in blood. Somebody killed somebody, conquered somebody, took somebody over, and they created their nations, you know? So he doesn't believe in nationalism. He wants it to be one world, one open world, and doesn't believe in borders. But break down simple. This is one of the main guys who's been funding. Just everybody wonders where the DEI and everything comes from all these years and all these different things, this philosophy that's come out, because like he's got this whole reflexivity philosophy. You'll have to go watch his speeches and read up on him. But so, you know, because he kind of thrives in chaos, even though it's not chaos, but it's like calculated chaos, you know. But even with that, though, let me go ahead and show you a little bit more what Kennedy's speaking about. That way, you know, you can get a better idea of how the movements are being made.
Soros is buying WWL AM radio in New Orleans. WWL AM radio is practically an institution in my state. It's been around since 1922. 1922. Over 100 years. It's a clear channel. It's what the communications experts call a clear channel Class A station. Its transmitter power output is about 50,000 watts. That's a lot, folks. That's the maximum for commercial AM stations in the United States. It's the lead station on the New Orleans Saints radio network.
Now you hear him talking about he's going to buy this radio station. Now the thing about it is it wasn't just, and he'll explain it all here in a little bit. I'm gonna let you see the rest of this. But it wasn't just that he bought one radio station. He bought a company called Audacity. Now Audacity actually owns, and you'll hear him say it in there, it's like 200 radio stations. So it's a big chunk of the market. This is a big platform, big platform. You know what I'm saying? And then like some of the partners is what NBC and then Fox. You know what I'm saying? I want to say Fox, NBC, and then ABC was part of the partners I seen on there. Because I went and I looked it up. So I found out that Audacity actually owns 200 stations, but the 200 stations are spread out in 29 states. Okay, because I wanted to know, you know, whether or not, and Oklahoma wasn't one of them, so I was looking at that, you know, because I wanted to know, you know, do they own these stations? But they do own stations in 29 states. Now you got to think about that. 29 states out of 50 states. That's just over half the states have these radio stations that are owned now by this man. Okay, that has a philosophy that is not the philosophy of America. Okay, that is not the philosophy of keeping a country. Okay, so with these 29 stations, you know, okay, so just here in Texas alone, there's 17 stations that are falling underneath this brand. Okay, in the Dallas area, you have 100.3, which is KJKK. You know what I'm saying? It's called Adult Hits. Then you got 107.5, which is KMVK, you know what I'm saying, which is regional Mexican, you know. Then you got 1080 AM, you know, the first two was FM channels. Then you got 1080 AM, which is a KRLD, you know, which is what is that? All news talk radio, you know. So now he got another news station. See, he already had it. I believe he already had his hands in other things. Okay. I believe he already had his hands in other things, but now, you know, he's stretching his reach out because after this last election, I don't think, you know, because I think it really bothers him that America did not want to just be like, oh, yeah, we just want to play with the world and let the world take us over with all this crazy crap y'all got going on. And then, okay, so then they also got 105.3, and this is all in the Dallas area, 105.3 FM, which is KRLD FM, and this is sports radio, okay? Then you got 98.7 FM, which is KSPF, and that's classical hits. Okay. And you got 103.7 FM, which is KVIL, and that's alternative rock. Then you got 103.72 FM, which is KVIL HD2, I guess, which is smooth jazz. Now you think about it, and then you got a few more in Houston, and then of course Austin. Okay. Now, these are just part of the, I just read off the part of the 17, you know, within the Dallas area, but those 17 channels, you know, are within just Texas area that fall underneath this Audacity. Now, the thing about it is think about that. So now you got multiple channels and multiple genres and different spectrums to push the influence, you know, because he ain't done fighting. He ain't done fighting, you know, and then the thing is now his son has been raised up, and he's raised his son up in order to play the game and have the same philosophies that he has. So, but you can go watch some of his stuff. You can look him up. He's got speeches and different things too. I don't believe he's got the same touch as Daddy's got, but you know, because Daddy the one who created the philosophy. But at the same, which it wasn't just his philosophy. He took other philosophies and made it. But at the same time too, though, you know, chip off the old block. So it's just, the man reached out real quick, and he did it right before the election. So then that way they can make sure, I believe it's just so they can have more influence and more power. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to let you listen a little bit more of what Kennedy got to say about it right now.
WWL is owned by a national company called Odyssey. Audacy, Odyssey. Odyssey has about 220 radio stations nationwide, one of which, of course, is WWL. Second largest radio network in America. It reaches, I think, 45 different markets throughout our country, Mr. President. 165 million Americans. It's huge. Odyssey borrowed too much money. They took on too much debt. They took on about $1.9 billion worth of debt, and they couldn't service that debt with their revenues. So what did they do? They did what many other corporations do when they can't service their debt. They went into what's called Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Not Chapter 7. Chapter 7 is when they liquidate the company. Chapter 11 bankruptcy is when a company goes into bankruptcy in front of a bankruptcy judge and says, Judge, we want to get all of our creditors and debtors together and restructure our cash flow and our debt so we can come out of this bankruptcy a surviving entity.
Excuse me. Now, so that part right there, you're seeing how he's pretty much, what he's doing is he's setting it up and he's explaining to you exactly how Soros was able to do this, because, Audacity fell into debt. They fall into debt. They try and file Chapter 11. Chapter 11 is different from Chapter 7, you know what I'm saying? Because pretty much, instead of giving up everything that they got, they go back and then they reset, boom, 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 and they give people the option to buy them out in order to keep them alive. So here comes Soros, super rich guy, and, he writes a $500,000 check, like it's nothing to him, because it's a billionaire, you know what I mean? Like they say Elon Musk, but this guy got billions too. Probably got billions people don't even know about. But, he write the $500,000 check and buys a company. Think about that. You're so rich, man. You drop $500,000 and now all of a sudden, boom, you got a radio station, But he's setting it up so he can let you know this is exactly how this ended up happening.
Of that $1.9 billion in debt, he bought about $415 million of it. Cash on the barrelhead. Paid 50 cents on the dollar. One of the tenets of the reorganization was that all the current shareholders would be wiped out. The new creditors would assume equity positions in the company. I know that sounds complicated, and it can be, but really what it means is that the bondholders, one of which is Mr. Soros, after he bought the $415 million worth of debt, became a shareholder. And Mr. Soros is now the largest single shareholder in Odyssey radio stations, including WWL AM in New Orleans, an institution. Why is that? Because those airwaves on which WWL and the other radio stations broadcast, they don't belong to the radio stations. They belong to you, and you, and you, and you. These airwaves, the spectrum, if you will, they're owned by the American people. And years ago, we created the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC. We set it up to be in charge of the airwaves that belong to the American people, to make sure that those airwaves were being used prudently by radio stations. For example, if a radio station is bought by a bunch of foreign nationals or foreign entities, the FCC has got to approve it. For example, anytime a broadcast license, as is the case with Odyssey, is transferred, the FCC has to approve it.
So you you see him talking about, man, how was making it weird to him, and was making it something that stuck out to him, was the fact, and it wasn't just the fact that, okay, a man came in and bought the company. It is what it is. But then on top of that, it's about the man, which man bought it. What are your intentions with it? And then on top of that, was it legal? Because there's certain procedures that are supposed to happen in order to make a purchase this big of airwaves that the FCC is supposed to control, or not just control, but have, I guess, regulations over with. That way people can't just come in and just get the broadcasting, propaganda over the airways to the people of America. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of it's supposed to be set up to protect the American people. But at the same time, too, though, now the game is being played to where you got outside entities trying to position themselves. You gotta understand, we're right now. It really feels like our country is in a game of chess. I really feel like that's what Donald Trump and Elon is playing against right now, and JD Vance too, because you know what, Trump got 4 years, and then JD got to step up. So I hope he learn. He need to learn. He need to learn, and he need to learn quick, and he need to catch on. He need to see exactly what's going on here, because he need to step up and play the game on another level. Like, he need to be ready, because if he gonna try to run for president in 2028, then you know what, you're gonna be out there. And I'm pretty sure Trump and all them will help you out, but you're gonna have to be the one, gird your loins and stand up, because it's a real deal. You start studying, looking into all this stuff, man. It's a deep chess game these people playing. I mean, they play it on a serious level, dude. Like, I mean, I can become a millionaire tomorrow, and I still wouldn't even be nowhere near the level of these people, But you look at it, you study it, and then you see other people, studying things. I watch other people, economics and things like that, and it's a crazy game that's being played. But the way they play it, it could actually destroy our country, to a way that he wants to open up the borders and open up society. Is it's a one world government. That's pretty much what they're looking at. They want one world government, globalism. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's funny how I study in my classes, they talk about globalism is the trade markets and all that and everything. But no, globalism is making a one world. They want it to be one world wide open, But he's not done. I'm gonna give you a little bit more of what he's got to talk about.
His purchase of WWL radio and the 219 other radio stations had to go before the FCC. And it did. And it went, the approval for Mr. Soros went through the FCC like green grass through a goose. And it was a party line vote. It was last September. All 3 Democrats, there are 5 people on the FCC, all 3 Democrats said, let it go. And they short-circuited the normal process. Now, I'm not an FCC expert, and I'm not a communications law expert, but I've read this has been quote, Commissioner Brendan Carr, who's soon to be chairman of the FCC, now that there's a new sheriff in town. Here's what Mr. Carr said. The commission's decision today, approving Mr. Soros's plan, is unprecedented. Never before has the commission voted to approve the transfer of a broadcast license, let alone the transfer of broadcast licenses for over 200 radio stations across more than 40 markets, without following the requirements and procedures codified in federal law.
Now you see right there, that's the guy about to be the new chairman of the FCC. So he moving in, but so this is the funny thing is look at it, look at all the things that Biden did on the way out of the White House, all the moves the Democrats have made. That's why they all mad now, because Elon actually going in. See, so this is the thing. Trump became president, Trump said, "Hey, you're my auditor. I need you to go do this," because Elon's real proficient. You know what I mean? I mean, think about it. The man went and figured out how to build $1 billion rockets for way cheaper than what the government could. He went in, he bought Twitter, he reorganized that, and I believe they said it was like 80% on 70% of the staff he got rid of, and boom, boom, boom. So he's real proficient because you can still run a company on less than what they say you need to do it. So low guy status, like what's down here, man. You got a company of 100 guys. I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna show you how you only need 30 of them. You don't need all 100 of those people to do that. But nonetheless, so they're mad at him now because now he's going through everybody's pocketbooks, and he's starting to find out, man, there's a lot of money coming up missing. And the thing is, it's supposed to be foreign aid, but and it's just 2 weeks in. 2 weeks in, he ain't even got to all the other organizations yet, and all that. I believe they're trying to stop him from doing it. But this the commissioner that's coming in now that has made this statement that's saying that he doesn't believe that it was a good idea, that they shouldn't have done it, and yet it happened. It's already done. He already owns these stations. So over the next 4 years, the next 8 years, however long he owns them or whatnot, when you go to look at some of these stations, you start listening to these stations and you start hearing funny things, or you start hearing things. It's going to be that ideology that's going to be pushed over the airwaves, and it's just like the news stations and all the other different things. How they say, oh, all these stations are left and all these stations are right, and you got more left out there now than right. But at the same time too, though, just because people's money was pushing these things, what I'm saying, to push these people's ideologies. So now he's got them 200 radio stations, and that's another way that he can get this out there. And I believe so Soros is getting older. I ain't gonna say he did yet, but he older. But he played the game very smart, and he's setting up a foundation. He's setting up a structure. So when he do leave this earth, all the son got to do is step into place and keep on going, and push the ideology, But here, I got one more for you. I got a couple more. Let me go check. We're gonna check this out because I did like what Kennedy had to say about this, and he did kind of go off on how he feels about it.
This is America. You're entitled to believe what you want. If it's legal, you're entitled to do what you want. And Mr. Soros is certainly entitled to his opinion. He is. I don't agree with him, but he is certainly entitled to it in America. I'm not much into this cancel culture, and hopefully we've seen the end of it. But when you're acquiring radio licenses, which can influence public opinion, and you're doing it in part, not exclusively, but in part with foreign money, well, that's why we have the SEC. But I want to make this clear. I believe in free speech and free expression. You're not free if you can't say what you think. You're not free if you can't express yourself. And Mr. Soros has that right. But here's where he stands. I want my people in Louisiana to know who's buying WWL radio in New Orleans. Mr. Soros is a billionaire. God bless him. He made his money himself. Mr. George Soros and Mr. Alex Soros hold some, how should I put this, non-mainstream American beliefs. For example, Mr. George Soros has called the United States, quote, the main obstacle to a stable and just world. Mr. Soros believes that our country is, quote, the main obstacle to a stable and just world. Not China, not Iran, not North Korea, the United States of America. Pass me the sick bucket. Mr. Soros has also said that China has, quote, his words, not mine. China has a, quote, better functioning government than the United States of America.
Now, you got to look at that. I mean, this is a man that believed that China has a better country or a better functioning system than we do. Which and whether they do or they don't, it don't matter to me. It doesn't matter. We America, this America, and that's the whole thing right there. Is we all Americans. They have their country, we have our country. But now the thing is he's able to use his money to influence our country. So, and he, like I said, he got big boy money. He got the type of money that he's making these type of moves. You know, he bought this company with $500,000 that was nothing to him. He dropped that like it was, and but the thing is the philosophy and the mentality. And this is the thing that cracks me up is you got a lot of people on the left mad, you know what I mean? They're mad. They're mad at Elon because Elon's going through and finding out, hey, this money being spent. And instead of being mad at, dang, y'all really spending our money. Because, I mean, we all taxpayers. I don't care if you rich, you poor. I don't care if you work a 9 to 5, you work a 12 to 12, or you make $1 million every day. It doesn't matter. We paying tax money, and they taking our tax money and doing this. You know, all these different weird little projects that they got, you know.
Security, information technology, and government innovation will now come to order. And welcome. A good afternoon. Without objection, the chair may declare a recess at any time. I recognize myself for the purpose of making an opening statement. Good afternoon. Late last year, the White Coat Waste Project exposed more than $10 million in taxpayer funds that were spent creating transgender mice, rats, and monkeys. These DEI grants funded painful and deadly transgender experiments that forced lab animals to undergo invasive surgeries and hormone therapies at universities across the country. For example, the Biden-Harris administration spent $2.5 million taxpayer dollars to study the fertility of transgender mice. Let that sink in. We spent over $2 million studying the fertility of transgender mice. $1.1 million was spent to find out if female rats receiving testosterone therapies to mimic transgender men were more likely to overdose on a party drug, commonly used in the LGBTQ community to induce drug-fueled what's called, quote, chemsex. I asked my staff what was chemsex and the chemical, and I guess it's something called GHB, which is a date rape drug, and also a drug that's used recreationally. So we spent over $1 million to find out if female rats receiving testosterone therapy were more likely to overdose on a date rape drug.
Now you see what I'm saying, though. I mean, that's just funny to me because so now transgender animals, right? See, y'all got to pay attention, man, the way they're manipulating our minds. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. I get it. You know what I'm saying? You feel a way. You are a human. You have rights. Okay. I get it. You know, now I'm a Christian, man. So, you know, I'm not going to sit there and say, you know what? We can have the moral conversations on it. You're a human. But, buddy, they're messing with y'all. They're messing with y'all's brains so they can play a game with everybody. Because you explain to me how a rat or a monkey walks up and says, you know what, I don't feel like a boy. I feel like, and see, they had this is where you lost me when I found this out, because the whole argument was, well, you know, I'm really a boy, but I don't feel like a boy. I feel like a woman. You know, I'm in the wrong body. So, you know, okay, so you have a human that has a consciousness, and you're trying to say that your consciousness doesn't correlate with your body, you know. But now all of a sudden, the monkeys and the rats need transgender affirming care, you know. So the rat walks up on you out of nowhere and says, hey, you know, I'm not really a boy rat, I'm a girl rat. Here, chop me up, you know, and then dope me up and then try to infect me. The monkeys like infect me with AIDS and stuff, you know, and you can't even do that anyways. So you go ahead and I'm gonna like before, like most of the times, I'm gonna leave all the links to all this down in the description, so y'all can watch all these videos for yourself all the way in full. Because like that one there, they even go on to talk about, and that whole video there was them talking about how the animal testing and stuff here, and not just in America but across the world or whatnot, only 90% of it fails. So all the medications that they get, that they tell you, or anything that's tested on the animals, pretty much, that they tell you that you know, oh, it was tested on animals, you know, and 90% of it fails. So even though it's required, a lot of the testing is required to have animal testing. A lot of these products are required to have animal testing. The testing is only 10%, if that, because I might be wrong on that number. You had to go watch the video again, but I know it was like 90-something% of it fails. So not even, you're not even the 50-50 on that. But then you're spending our tax dollars on this. This isn't even like private funding where people are taking their own money to do these things. This is our money, and then right now and so she sat there and she said that, it's Biden and Kamala's agenda, but the reality is we go back to Soros, because you know what, you go study and look at his open societies and stuff, and you'll see that they have this DEI, they have this democracy speech, you know what I'm saying, and don't get me wrong, democracy is a good thing, but at the same time too, though, we live in a republic. Now, I understand the difference in the definitions, you know what I mean? But at the same time, too, though, with their, it's like they took the word and they changed it. They're trying to change the definition of it. And they're doing it to try to destroy our country. I truly believe this. So, it's just funny to me. But you can watch the whole video and they go off and they talk about a whole bunch of things. But right now, though, our whole country is in trouble. We're like $36 trillion in debt. And then there's another one where the finance guy, he goes in there and he's speaking about how, we're pretty much at catastrophic point right now. Like we're not right there yet, because we still have a sliver of a chance, which I'm glad we did get Trump in. But we gotta, and Elon, do your thing, cut them all out. I don't care what they're talking about. Whether they call you bad guys or not, it doesn't matter, man. You for our country, then I'm with it. Let's get it. But they say we got just a sliver of a chance to fix it. Like we're like right on the brink of America not being America no more. So, and don't think that we're so untouchable that we can't fall as a country. There's many countries that, they had all the buildings, all the places, all the schools, they had everything up, and then one day something happened. But it wasn't just one day. It was things that led to here, led to there, that nobody paid attention to. And since nobody paid attention to it, then all of a sudden, next thing you know, boom, it creeps up on us. So this is where we're at right now. We're right at this little tipping point, you know what I mean? And because of that, we're in danger. We're in trouble. So they need to do what they're doing. They need to go through and they need to go ahead and cut out a lot of bad things and get us fixed up a little bit. Okay, so I just wanted to go ahead and, let y'all see a little bit of this, what was going on.
Mr. Soros does not believe that the United States should have secure borders. He once called national borders a, quote, obstacle, end quote, to his plan for widespread immigrant resettlement. Mr. Soros and his family, as you probably know, have spent millions and millions of dollars.
Daylight, the graffiti could be seen up and down the street. In some cases, the name George Floyd. In other cases, angry messages directed at police.
It has paid off, and I think that the money that goes down the drain, because a lot of it does, I think it's worthwhile that it should go down the drain. The people that I'm contributing to feeding, they get killed, so it's down the drain.
Thank you, George Floyd, for sacrificing your life for justice.
But it still has to be done.
So see, you can't like, okay, so they say the Democrats, they say Biden and Harris and their problems or whatnot. But really what it is we're in a battle of ideology right now. Like that's our issue right now. We got a whole battle of ideology going on. The way that people in America feel America should be going. And in truth be told, half of them, and one part of it, feel like they don't even want America to be America. And now, this what killed me too is You know, we got a lot of black folks trying to make it all racist thing. But you know what? We sit here crying and clowning, but the reality is man, we're going to get to the point where you ain't going to have to worry about none of that. Because let the country destroy itself and let the country break apart where it's not a country no more and other people just swoop in here and rip things up. You ain't got to worry about them white folks, them evil white folks, because you ain't going to have nothing anyways. You're going to be enslaved to other folks, other black folks or Mexicans or Hindus or Indians or whoever decides to come in and has more power and takes over. And it's just going to be a free-for-all, you know, like the Wild Wild West type of deal or whatnot. Now, I know some folks want that, but at the same time, too, though, I mean, we're Americans. This is America. So if chaos is what y'all looking for, man, we real close to it. We real close to it. And the truth about it is it's an ideology. That's the issue. This is what we're fighting.
Campaign of support for refugees in Europe has caused quite a stir.
We've got enemies, open society and its enemies.
His own Hungarian government put their hostility towards him on display. Here, organisations supporting illegal immigration must now be registered. The name the government gave to this legislation? Stop Soros. Hungary's Prime Minister is one of Soros's fiercest critics. When the murder of a journalist in neighbouring Slovakia prompted anti-government protests there, this is how Viktor Orban responded.
Soros György és a hozzá hasonló szervezeteknek a munkáját, illetve annak a kezenyomát a szlovák eseményeken, és egy percig sincsen kétségem afelől, hogy Soros György és a vele együttműködők mindent megtesznek, minden alkalmat megragadnak, hogy azokat a kormányokat, amelyek ellenállnak a bevándorlásnak, megbuktassák.
You've been blamed for financial collapse of Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan, and Russia.
All of the above.
All of the above. Yeah. Are you that powerful?
No, I think there's a great misunderstanding.
The Prime Minister of Malaysia said that the region spent 40 years trying to build up its economy, and along comes a moron like Soros.
Right.
With a lot of money, and it's all over. He called you a criminal.
It's easier for him to blame an outside force than to admit that they were mismanaging their economy and their currency.
He may not.
So there you go. I mean, words from the man himself, you know what I'm saying? Like, you go through and there's other videos, the interviews that he did where, you know, he said when he was a kid, he felt like he had messianic dreams, like he could be the savior. And the thing about it is I don't know, maybe in his mind, he really does feel like he's trying to help the world. But I don't know if y'all ever heard that old saying, you know what I'm saying? The road to hell is paved with good intentions, you know? So maybe that's what he thinks he's really doing in his heart. I don't know. But if that's your hero and destruction of our country is your goal, you know, Democrat or Republican, I don't know. That's, you know, if that's the choice that you want in life, then that's the choice you got. This is a free country for right now. So right now you have the right to have your own opinions, you know, and it could get to the point to where we don't have that right anymore if the country does destroy itself. There are countries out there where they don't have the right to speak the way that they feel like they should speak. So that's why a lot of people kill me, because they want to come to this country because the country's so great, but then at the same time you want to make our country your country like it was back home where you came from. But where you came from was supposedly so bad. So that's the whole reason why you wanted to come here, right? It's not just because it's beautiful or anything like that. It is the way it is because of the freedoms we have. So you take that out of the picture and then you give it a few years, all that's going to happen is you're going to turn what we have and what we've tried to fight for, what people have spilled their blood for, black, white, brown, and all that, to create, to get to this point. Yes, there's been a lot of hate, but there's been a lot of love too. But you want to destroy this, and you're going to make this into what you was running from. And he's going to help do it by trying to destroy it with his money. Could be, could not be. All allegedly. But, you know. Thank you for joining us again. This has been a little short one. Humble, not timid. You leave your comments down below. I appreciate y'all for watching. Stay safe. Stay blessed. Another voice. Another choice.
Getting mad at me, player, but they ain't taking my place. And I'm a misbreed, homie, so they hate my race. Or maybe I'm just ugly, so they hate my face. Either way it go, homie, take the hating away. Now I'm suited in my armor and I'm just ready to play. So now put me in coach, cause I'm just ready to get. See,